been part of this thing turning as well. We've had more black men to step up and begin to mentor our communities and to help to set certain parts. And it became, you know, it's no longer as fashionable as it used to be to do things that are to each other. Because our kids would kill one another for no reason. It took us a while to understand why this was going on. Because it was not traditional. At one point in time, the parents would, you know, the children would bury the parents. Now it became a thing where the parents was burying the children. So the whole mode was out of place. Now we're beginning to turn this thing around. And it took us some time to learn and to understand what was happening and then understand what to do about what was happening. We just did not know because we had never seen this before. Never. So, you know, it's turning around. And it's turning around because of the community that's coming together. They have learned to understand what the solutions are. And that we have a part that we got to play. We can't continue to let this happen and say there's nothing that we can do. We refuse to do that.
If you don't mind, just one more question, if you don't mind. So you already asked about the death of your son kind of turning your life around in many different ways. Mm-hmm. But one of the ways was to, and if you don't mind talking about it, how does one overcome, how does a parent overcome that kind of sorrow, unspeakable sorrow, and turns it into something that, as you said, you know, continues the legacy that the son began?
You know, I think for me, it was losing a son, but also understanding that I could lose more if something is not done. For me, it became I lost a son, but I could lose another son or another child, or somebody else could lose a child. And that's where my perspective became at, because I was seeing what was happening and it didn't appear as though anything was being did. You know, but I knew that something could be done because I saw it over in the prison system. I saw where the brothers had that type of authority, but we were not utilizing the ability that God had given us to utilize, regardless of where we were at, regardless of whether we was in the prison or wherever, that we could basically do something. So that was the overall perspective, taking our relationships and our reputations and leveraging them back into the community. To say no more and to utilize what was in place to help to turn it around. And that's what's occurring. That's why we go to different prisons around the country. That's why you got so many men there that are willing to take their parts, take their place. And why not? At a time that their heads are clear, their hearts are open, why not utilize that as a perspective, as a means? But you know, even in the midst of utilizing it, you also got to get the system to accept it. Because the system has just condemned ex-offenders or black men to the point of saying we're hopeless, we'll never be any good, so just cut us off. See, but we've got to be able to circumvent even that because it's our children. So basically, I think, and I believe that the sun is always shining, just show up for me, regardless of what the circumstances may be. There's never a period, there's always a comma. And to keep on going to make something out of nothing because something is there. So that becomes the perspective. And again, I constantly push it in this point that we are turning this ocean liner around. Our kids are becoming better than they have been. And that God is working. This is what I constantly see. And we're going to win it. We're going to win. We're going to win. You know, you have so many people there that are looking at the perspective of how many black kids are locked up, how many black kids we've lost. We did a conference at UDC, and a guy by the name of Vinny Sharadi spoke, and Vinny was the director of DYRS, Department of Youth Rehabilitation Services. And Vinny stated that in the 5 years that he was director of that, he had never seen that one white kid come in. So when you begin to really acknowledge what's occurring and begin to really come up with solutions for our population, then we, you know, it makes a difference. So I think at the end of the day, we as a community are becoming far more accountable and understand what we need to do. And that's the common denominator. That's the common denominator, I think.